But what's happened? Why are you? What the fuck? The Fallout series effectively invented the use of a crippled limb system within a video game upon the release of 1997's Fallout. I did a lot of research and I couldn't find a video game that came out before Fallout and also used this system. I did find an example of an RPG board game that came out before Fallout that used a similar limb system, and this was 1986's GURPS, made by Steve Jackson Games. What? The crippled limb mechanic has been in every main installment of the Fallout series so far, and I have recently been playing the original 1997 Fallout game, or as I like to call it, the video game equivalent of crack cocaine. I chose to play through Fallout like it was still 1997 and forbid myself from searching the internet for clues because using a walkthrough on this kind of game basically renders the whole experience pointless, as Fallout's main gameplay aspect involves carefully picking out the right information from graphics and conversations you have to solve exploratory based puzzles which then progress the story. A little bit like Columbo, if Columbo were to ever go around punching animals in the fucking eyes. So about 20 hours into Fallout, I started walking really slowly and didn't know why. If you double click on a location, your character should run there, but this wasn't activating and she was just walking. Determined not to use Google because it's 1997 and they don't exist, I set about researching this topic within the game's menus. I went into character and aha, I said to myself, Eureka indeed, I have a crippled limb. So what I'll do is I'll click here to read about it and be able to work out exactly how to fix it in no time. Well, that's fucking insightful, isn't it? This is on par with old games of this type, like King's Quest, where you ask your character to look at something, like look at door. So your character wanders over and intelligently informs you, it's a door. I know it's a fucking door, you arsehole. I'm not totally sideways stupid. I want to know more about it. Anyway, so I pondered this issue for a while and decided to try using a first aid kit, which I acquired in my many travels. Basic medical equipment, bandages, wraps, antiseptic spray. Psh, let's fix this shit. Well, that's clearly untrue, isn't it, Mr. fucking Fallout? Because if I double click to run, I don't just run, do I? Well, I'm not moving at all now, am I? I mean, this is just sadistic programming in my world. Change the command for run faster into not fucking move at all and jitter on the spot. That will show me they're having the audacity to try and move quickly around this fucking monolith of a map. All right, I said to myself, this is no biggie. I saw a doctor a few days ago in Shady Sands. I'll just travel there. So after a millennia or so passes, I find this guy who is a doctor and I ask him to heal my obvious disability. I'm beginning to see a pattern here, a real disconnect between my broken leg and everyone else's perception, including my own, of my own fucking broken leg. Okay, so I'll get some rest. I'll give you some fucking rest. Rest until healed, amazing. What even is this torturous life? Okay, so rest in bed. So I'll go back down to Junktown, near where I started this nightmarish experience, because I know there is a hotel bed I can sleep in there, because in those beds you can't sleep, because I don't know why, so I leave the area. So I get to the hotel and I take it for a whole goddamn week, sleep all night and wake up with an, oh my god, what a fucking surprise. Now, if you find yourself in this situation, here's what you do. Oh. Great. Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Let's talk a little bit about game design, shall we, and the intricacies of withholding certain functions from the player as a result of them playing the game in a reckless fashion. Oops. What I mean by that pile of words is that games tend to punish players when they make mistakes. Fucking shocking, I know. In Fallout 3 and New Vegas, if you break a leg, you cannot walk quickly anymore. And in these games, this is a problem because the maps are, well, you know, bloody huge. Bloody huge. So you gotta have a stim pack or a doctor's bag on you to fix these limbs, or else you're gonna have a slow and punishing walk to the nearest spot where you can sleep and heal them again. This is game design, people. Because doctor's bags are rare and expensive and stim packs have a very important alternate use, you have to be wise and plan your inventory effectively, because if you don't, you might get stuck in the wastes with a broken leg and have a shit time. Or you instead use all your stim packs on broken limbs and die later on because you can't heal yourself properly without them. This would be the case if stim packs weren't as rare as breathable air in the these two games, but the point still stands and is especially true in the early game when you don't have many stim packs on you. Fallout 4 chucks all of this out the window and removes the crippled limb system entirely, but in a very strange way. Just to quickly say, the following things I'm about to discuss about the Fallout 4 crippling limb system I simply find very interesting. I do not think Fallout 4 is a bad game as a result of the choices it's made surrounding this system. I'm also going to justify and explain the reasons why I think Bethesda chose to make the choices around it, so stick with me. And so, to discuss the problems I've had with the crippled limb system in Fallout 4, we're going to go back and have another look at a machinima I've made where the system caused me a few issues. Here's the scene I'm talking about.
Morty! An Amish bitch shot me! She tried to purge me, Morty! You let your wiener do the walking and now I'm dead! Rick, she took the car! You kidding me, Morty? She took my car and the gun! We're like the rest of these assholes now!
So, Rick in that scene, which is the character I am playing as, was bent over holding his stomach like that because he was crippled. To get a character to act exactly like that, you must cripple one leg and two arms. If you just cripple an arm, you get this, or just one arm and one leg, you get this. So you have to expertly and purposefully cripple one leg and two arms. So let's build the scene, shall we? Many light sources in Fallout 4 are hard-coded into the game's 3D space and cannot simply be removed in-game, even with console commands. So to control the lighting, I used this mod to remove all the light sources in the game. I then build my own light sources to control the lighting. In this particular scene, I've used fires, which give a nice orange glow, and it works particularly well when recording at night. Now the lighting is good, to get my character bent over like this, I need to cripple my own limbs. This is best done using an explosive because it's the easiest way to harm yourself. So what you do is you throw a grenade in front of you and try and break the right combination of limbs. We want to hit that sweet spot of one leg and two arms crippled, and not so much damage taken that the screen starts going fuzzy like this, and not so much that you die. Obviously. I need Morty, who in this case is Deacon, in the scene too, so I have to throw the grenades away from him, or else he's going to get hurt and get crippled too and ruin the shot I want. So I go over here away from him and throw a grenade. Thanks, McCready, continuing to be a bastion of great advice over there, aren't you? So as you can see, this isn't going to be easy. The trick to doing this is actually to throw a grenade on a shelf, so its explosion only hurts the top half of your body and cripples your arms. Then chuck one on the floor and turn to the side onto the grenade, so it only cripples the right side of your body and one of your legs. To make sure you don't die doing this, you have to keep your health up, but you have to use food. If you use a stim pack to keep your health up, it will undo the damage being done to your limbs and they won't ever cripple. Achieve this Herculean task and you'll be injured like this, which I think looks rather cool and which is why I use this animation. Only took 10 minutes, not so bad. Now you slowly ease your way back over to Deacon. Because you're injured, you limp like that. Then when you arrive, you have to fill the room with fire because in this scene, the building is on fire. To do this, you throw Molotov cocktails at the walls. Then before the fire goes out, you need to make your mouth move like in the scene we just saw. To do this, you need to talk to Deacon and ask him how things are going between us. Then, once the conversation starts, I can freeze the game, get the camera where I want it, unfreeze the game and record my mouth moving before the fire goes out. And now we're finally ready. Wait, what's just happened? Why has Rick fallen over like that? I didn't make this happen, and now the animations have gone back to normal. Bethesda, what did you do? Come back here! So I fell over, for no reason at all, and now my crippled limbs are fixed, and the animation I need is gone. Fuck! For you see, in Fallout 4, your crippled limbs heal automatically, which means I have to cripple myself again. So I go back to the corner, throw grenades, get back to Deacon, fill the room with fire, which by the way is another nightmarish procedure because you only have 10 seconds after throwing one to get the shot you need before the fire goes out, and all without hurting yourself. Start talking to him, free the camera, get a good angle on me, unfreeze the game to record the conversation, and hope that the speech matches up perfectly with the audio from Rick and Morty at just the right time before I fall over and my limbs re-heal. So why did you do it, Bethesda? Why did you allow this to happen? Self-healing limbs? What in God's name was the point of having them be crippled at all? You created 1, 2, 3 separate animations, all of which are fully fleshed out and functional in the game world, only to have the limbs almost immediately correct themselves and the animations disappear. Well, I have a theory. I believe that Bethesda initially intended on making it so these crippled limb states were permanent, like in the previous games. So they recreated the system and added new animations to work properly within the new game world. Then, over time, they changed their minds. Fallout 4 was always going to be huge. The series has such a vast audience and the industry itself is so much larger than when Fallout 3 came out. I believe Bethesda didn't want to run the risk of players becoming crippled in the middle of absolutely nowhere with no stim packs to heal their limbs. This would force players to have to drag themselves across a huge empty landscape for half an hour until they could get their limbs fixed. So Bethesda pulled it from the game. But of course, adding this mechanic was a lot of work, all those animations and HUD overlays, so they most likely didn't want to pull it completely. So what we are left with is a shadow of the old mechanic, which in my opinion is a bad move in a creative aspect, because I generally like games to have as much strategy as possible, but I can hardly blame Bethesda given the breadth of the audience involved here. So I forgive you, Bethesda, but do you know what I don't forgive?
But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more if the beer man walks off.
And an enormous thanks to Jerry the Hero, Austin Howard, and Trent for your extremely generous donations.